All right. Going live in three, two, screw it now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the BarnBurner TV network on Zingo TV channel 250. Don't forget to download both the BarnBurner app and the Zingo TV app on their respective stores, iOS and Android. Zingo TV is also available on Roku, Roku Sticks, Amazon Fire Sticks, Google Chromecast, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. It's free. Download it today. And how's everybody doing out there? My name is Scott Schertzen, and this, as always, is a Sports Den, where we have a group of now back to 4 people again, talking about sports, complaining about sports, giving predictions about sports, and in general, talking things that involve sports. Who would have thought? So, first, let me start off, first and foremost, Mr. Jared Robeson. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. Feels good to be back.
Good, man. Good. So, alongside that is Mr. Rob Stats. How you doing?
I'm good today. The 4 horsemen are finally back.
Exactly.
I wanted to post a Ric Flair meme and be like, woo, we're styling and profiling.
Alongside us, as always, is Mr. Obi Schottenfeld, rocking the hat, rocking the facial bear.
Good to be here.
Yes.
Real excited to do it as a foursome.
Yes. Oh, really? Oh, my.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
oh my.
So we have got a myriad of things to talk about today, a fair amount involving the NFL in one form or another, whether it be on CBS, Fox, ABC/ESPN, or Nickelodeon, which debuted over the weekend to, frankly, a slightly more enjoyable experience than I was expected to be. Not without some of its issues, which I'll get into in a little bit. But first, let me start off with you guys. Give me some thoughts about playoff weekend number 1, what you got going into weekend number 2, and start from there. Obi, how about you, sir?
Well, my first thought is 6 games. It was just a little too much for me. It was a lot to try to digest them all.
Mm-hmm.
Nickelodeon, I'd like to say I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I said, this is great for somebody else. I definitely think it works for the crowd that they're going to. If it had existed when my kids were about 10 years younger, they'd be football fans now, but it didn't. I personally liked the full other side of the spectrum, which was the megacast that ESPN did,
Mm-hmm.
where they were rewinding every play as it happened, discussing the plays in intricate details. But I think both broadcasts owe a little something to Mr. Romo, because Mr. Romo has taken that analysis up a little bit with his pre-predictions of plays and getting them right, talking about things that other guys may or may not have talked about off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But he also adds that youthful exuberance, which I felt from the 10 minutes I watched of Nickelodeon, which is this is a game and it's goofy. So those are my bigger takeaways than even some of the games. I liked what I heard from Chase Young after the game,
Mm-hmm.
running up to Brady and being like, great to play against you. You're the GOAT. Now give me your jersey. I earned that much. And then Pittsburgh, Cleveland was the one game I had a real rooting interest in. I really wanted Pittsburgh to take that game for my father-in-law. And by the time I turned it on, it was 21-0. And so then my interest immediately changed. I didn't want to hear about Baker blowing that game. I just did not want that to be the headline. So I was glad that they were able to hold on. If we go to some of the games and want more details on them, I'll add, but let's let some of the other voices speak.
All right. Jared, how about you, sir?
Oh, well, as a Ravens fan, I was definitely happy that the Browns won, which I was predicting actually was going to happen. But overall, I think the whole weekend was great. I don't really think other than the Browns was a surprise. But to me, overall, I don't really think it's that much of a surprise because Pittsburgh was dwindling anyway. Overall, I knew the Saints were going to win against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the Bills was going to win against the Colts. Thought it would be actually more of a lead for the Bills against the Colts. I don't think it was like really any. Oh, the Rams beating the Seahawks. That definitely wasn't a surprise for me either.
I was a tiny bit surprised by that. You know,
you think so?
A little bit, yeah.
I thought the Rams defense is like when you think about it, when you have someone like Aaron Donald who's such a force, and you got Jalen Ramsey now, and you got Leonard Floyd, another pass rusher. The defense is definitely going to carry them through.
Well, I do agree with that. I do feel that basically, Seattle 12th man or no 12th man physically there. I always feel that does have an impact there. So it did surprise me at least a little bit. Granted, this is not as strong Seahawks team as we've seen in the past. And obviously the Rams are going to rebound after what happened last year. But to me, I figured it was not going to be a 10-point loss at home for them. I really didn't see that happening. In my own opinion anyway. they were a strong team at home. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, like you said, there's no 12th man, so it's not as loud as it used to be, which could affect the game because you can't hear what plays you're calling, or you can't hear the other team's changes on the field. So it definitely affects Seattle. And Seattle, I don't really think their pass defense was that good to begin with, even though couldn't really pass anyway because of golf hand. But I wasn't surprised with that win at all.
Yeah, but for a team that went 7-1 at home, and that win being, let's call it what it is, a complete anomaly, against the Giants, I was surprised to see them roll over like that at home. I really was. But anyway, Rob, how about you, sir?
It was good. I loved the Nickelodeon game. I watched the entire Nick game, all 30, the whole thing. My only regret was I didn't get to watch it with like my godson or my nephew or even my nieces. Because like Obi said, it hit the target for what their demographic that they were aiming for. It was aimed at the kids. They had the kids on as, color commentators with Nate Burleson and I think it's Ian Eagle. And it was, I loved it. Like when they scored the touchdown and the little fake slime cannon started shooting out. My favorite part was also young Sheldon coming on to explain penalties. I legitimately lost it. I started laughing out loud because he's like, holding, and he explains the holding penalty and he says, holding, I don't even like holding hands, so this is my favorite penalty of them all. I like legit lost it. I was like, this is amazing. And like I said, the result of that game was no surprise. The Bears were, to quote the late great Denny Green, they were who we thought they were, and the Saints didn't let them off the hook. So there was no surprise there. The game that surprised me was Seattle, and I said this to Obi as like, I said it to a couple people after the game. I said the Seattle Seahawks were the biggest disappointment of the NFL season this year. They just completely poo-pooed after like the first 4 weeks. They fell apart. I know they had injuries, but they just were not the same team that came out. And like Jared Goff was basically a one-handed quarterback because the backup gets hurt and he's forced into action. But like Jared said, you have Aaron Donald, and he can take over a game, and that defense can win games for them. So this week coming up, it's going to be a similar situation for the Packers that they were in a couple weeks ago against the Titans, but against a better defense. Like if they can't move the ball downfield and the Rams can shorten the game, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Darnold should be healthy enough to go, and you're going to have the Jalen Ramsey, Devontae Adams matchup on the outside. So it should be really interesting to see how that matchup plays out. And the other big disappointment this season down the stretch is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's time to take a look in the mirror and reevaluate the culture of that team. They're more worried about TikTok videos than anything else. And everything Juju did in the last 4 weeks came back to bite them. And then Chase Claypool has the audacity to go out and trash talk again after they lost. They're going to get clapped this weekend, so it's all good. Like, bro, you just got clapped out of the playoffs by them. Like, you shut up. Like, ban him from TikTok along with everybody else that's being banned from social media. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's starting to come back to Tomlin because this seems to be a thing that doesn't want to go away with Mike Tomlin is the culture. Like every now and then it gets a little toxic. You had AB over there, you had Lev Bell, and all of a sudden it's something's in the water in Pittsburgh.
Even Roethlisberger early on too.
Yeah, like it's just it never seems to, it goes smooth, and all of a sudden it's like you go off a cliff. Like, it's not even like, oh, it got a little bumpy. It's like, what happened? Like, we just lost 5 out of 6 games and got routed in the playoffs. Obi, I came home, it was 28-0, so you were in a better position than me. I was like, oh my God. I said, if you told me it was 28-0, I would have thought it was going to be the other way, especially with the whole situation of not having coaches. Their O-line was a mash unit. Do I think they have a shot against Kansas City? Not really, but I'm adopting that motto that the Cleveland fan had over the weekend. 100% hope, 0% expectations. That's my motto for the rest of 2021. Like, I'm just living by that motto. And I thought the Bills-Colts game was exciting. I was kind of glad that they botched the call on that fumble because I just didn't want to see the game end that way. I was like, at least give them a shot to throw a duck downfield or something on a Hail Mary, which they did. Tampa Bay, like Obi said last week, Washington was probably the team that matched up against them the best, and we saw it, but they still couldn't really hang with them in the end. So the Tampa Bay Saints game should be really interesting this weekend. Round 3, we'll see if the Saints can beat them 3 times in a row. And the highlight for me, though, was definitely the Nick game and the Nickelodeon game with the Bears and the Saints. I loved it.
I got to agree for that. I mean, here's my take. The Nickelodeon game I thought was a lot of fun. I will probably burn out on it, though, once the novelty wears off. There was a lot of cool things involved. There was a lot of neat concepts to it. I liked the fact that they tried to explain certain things, like you mentioned with the young Sheldon part, where they referred to Mitch Trubisky earlier in the season when he was being benched as being quote unquote grounded. It's like being basically when you're a kid and you've been grounded for 2 weeks. I like the fact that they kind of dumbed it down that way. Now, what is interesting and what did light up Twitter is there is a song by SpongeBob called F is for friends that, that do stuff together. U is for you and me, except for Cordell Patterson. The F word, the F bomb that he dropped makes F is not the friends that do stuff together, but F is something else that they can't actually say on air, but apparently did anyway. The Nickelodeon broadcast, the F bomb slipped right underneath it, full display for everybody to hear, which was really hilarious to watch Noah Eagle and everybody else there just kind of go, oh. So anyway, but I like the idea of it. Like you said, I like the slime part of it. I liked young Sheldon, although I've never seen the show. I do like how they brought it down a little bit, and I can see it as a great way not only to hook the kids in while they're young, but also have a parent-kid thing together. The parents are interested in football. It can get the kids interested. So, okay, you're not going to end up hearing, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, for example, but you're still getting your playoff football, who, as an adult, if you're following a team, I think is great. So I think it's a really, really smart move. I fully expect it to continue for years to come in this case here. But me personally, I think after a while, I will get burned out on it. I think that's just the way it's going to be for me because my attention span is that short.
I said to Jared, we talked yesterday, I said, other networks are watching this. And I was saying, the mouse smells the cheese.
Welcome to the future.
Disney mouse smells that cheese and sees the opportunity that's there. And with some of the stuff they've got coming up in the next year, like movie premieres and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get some sort of a collaboration going and get their, capitalize on that to bring in younger fans and collaborate with the NFL to draw in some more money too.
Well, we saw. Go ahead.
My expectation is that every game is now going to have 2 broadcasts going forward. Not immediately, but we're going to have the kids broadcast and we're going to have the mega cast. And you're going to go from the kids broadcast where they teach you about the game because you need to know what a holding penalty is and what an offsides penalty is. And then you're going to get to the point where you're what all the rules are. Now you want to know what you don't know further, which is, why is the guy sometimes supposed to run towards listening to Keyshawn hollering, that's the play you're supposed to use the sideline. That's the play you stay on the other side of the numbers, and explaining why with the quarterback explaining why he's looking for the same thing. That's that next level knowledge that, Grant, like I said, Nickelodeon, if I had my kids, I'd be there. If you had your niece and nephew there, that is it. But once you get through that, you want that next level. I think if I'm Drew Brees, I'm not retiring because I don't know that you're going to be able to find a spot to do broadcasting. I just see it taking off in both directions, that higher level and that really this is what a holding is. You need to know because other than baseball, there's no sport that has the time to teach you everything while the game's going on.
True. But not in this case here. Why just stop at the NFL? Watch the NBA go down that way. We talked about this earlier in the year. We talked about the fact that Amazon was going to be covering the San Francisco, I think, Arizona game, and how bizarre that was back then. I said, this is the future. And that was even before we found out about Nickelodeon and everything they were going to be doing. So, Disney, you could probably see that happening. Fox, probably Fox Kids, I guess, in this case here. ABC, partnership with Disney and all that. NBC, I don't know who they necessarily own in this case here, but I'm sure they can probably work something out as well. Yeah, look at that being the future of what's going to be coming this way. But all in all, I mean, a good first weekend. I do agree with you that I think 6 playoff games across two days is a little bit too much. It's going to be the way things are going to be going for the future. You just have to accept it for what it is. But it's back down to a regular 4 next week. Browns, Chiefs. I think Chiefs take that one without a problem. Bills, Ravens. Sorry, Jared. I got to go with the Bills on this one. Respect to the Ravens, respect always to the Ravens, but I'm sorry. The Bills are a team that's destined for the future right now. It's going to, I think for the next 5 some odd years, it's going to be them and Kansas City going head to head a lot. Just like you remember, the Patriots and the Colts for the year in and year out. I think it's the same way there. Packers running over the Rams. Saints, Bucks. That's more of a pick 'em to me. I do think the Saints would end up taking this game, but I would not be the least bit surprised if the Bucks did.
I think like I said with the Packers game, where the Rams kind of have to slow the game down and keep Rodgers off the field. I think the Bills Ravens game is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bills need to try and contain Lamar. I don't think they're going to shut him down,
mm-hmm.
but they got to light it up the way they were lighting it up against teams down the stretch in the regular season and put up like 35, possibly 42 points to stay in that game, because the Ravens are starting to click.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were last year. Like last year, they were clicking a little too early. This year, it feels like they're clicking at the right time. And like J.K. Dobbins, they don't even have Mark Ingram. That's the
mm-hmm.
scariest thing of all. Like if he gets help, like I don't know if he's going to come back anytime soon, but they're doing this with like J.K. Dobbins. This is a young team. Like the AFC is going to be loaded for like the next
mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years with all the young talent they've got.
Yeah, I think that Bills Titan game is probably the hardest to guess,
mm-hmm.
because I am not sold on Josh Allen yet. He does it another year, and I'll take my sock out of my mouth and go, I was wrong, but I need to see it another year and through the rest of these playoffs. But I got to say, I want to see Allen versus Mayfield. I don't
mm-hmm.
think that's a possibility, but I want to see that. On the other side, I've been looking 2 out of 3 times. The team that won the 2 games wins the 3rd game. It's not hard to do. It's actually easier to do than to beat a team that's already beaten you twice. And that defense in New Orleans has sustained itself, where that Tampa defense has had its up and downs. And you don't know what Tom Brady is going to show up. You know what Drew Brees is going to show
mm-hmm.
up. The old Drew Brees shows up, but you know what he gets you. You don't know when that old Tom Brady is going to show up, which week it's going to be. And I think it comes down to how bad is Donald's ribs hurt.
Mm-hmm.
If he can play 85% of himself, I think that there's enough defense there. If he can't get that far into it, if he's 80, 75 or not playing, then I think Aaron Jones can do some damage up the middle with the ball. And, you can cover Devontae Adams, but they got some other guys, MVS and name's escaping me right now, but the guy who got injured came back.
Alan Lazard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who are going to who the other guys who still have to be covered. So there's enough weapons there. And Tanyan, it's a very potent offense. If there's no pressure on Rodgers, it's not going to be a problem.
You got to keep in mind too, they lost David Bakhtiari. So even if like Aaron Donald's a beast, you're going to have to double team him regardless. And it depends on who's filling in for Bakhtiari. Can they handle that outside edge rush? Because that's going to be a problem for Rodgers if they can't and they're getting pressure on him. And Tanyan, the most underrated tight end in the league, in my opinion. The fact that Evan Engram was named to the Pro Bowl over him was absolute blasphemy. Like Giant fans were like, well, that's 2020 for you in a nutshell. Or like the dude had more touch. I was like, there's no reason Engram should have been a Pro Bowler over Tanyan. Tanyan in less games put up better numbers overall and average wise.
Cool. All right. That's going to I'd probably wrap that up for there. Later on in the show, we're going to be doing trivia. That's going to be coming up in about 15-ish minutes or so. But I want to swing this over right now to a little baseball, possibly a little Philadelphia sports across the whole, because, boy, it's chaos incarnate over there a little bit right now. But you know what? We have to give, and this is weird for me, but we're going to have to give some serious level of props to the New York Mets. They have had a phenomenal offseason, even if they make no more moves at this point. What they did with Cleveland last week, what they did with McCann. This is a team that is setting themselves up for this year to be the playoff year. They finally get back into it. The fact that they have $20 million back because Robbie Cano is out for the year due to, should we call it injury or should we just call it something? Yeah, let's call it what it is. Trying to be polite. But the bottom line is that saves the Mets $20 million. Which basically just got dropped into Lindor, who now apparently is open to having a contract with the Mets in the offseason, which is going to be interesting to see. But they got that, Carrasco. They have a team that right now has the potential of easily making it back into the playoffs, and who knows, maybe even winning the division.
They pushed themselves from a team in the middle of the division to right up there with the Braves with these moves. And it's funny because this last week we were talking how they were keeping their wallets in check. They were trying not to compete with the Yankees for the back page, and they had to go.
On Eduardo's show, I said the same thing.
Yeah. Yep, and we were wrong. But they still kept their wallets in check until they signed Lindor. I mean, at least for one season, they have a good team with the low payroll, so they are in a position to make some moves And specifically, they'll be in a position, if they are in it, to grab a guy on the last year of a contract who they're not looking to keep, but to fill in a hole or something to get that playoff boost. So they need to sign Lindor long term, but they look good. They do look good.
A lot of reason for Mets fans to be excited right now.
Jared, your mic.
You're on mute, bud.
Oh, sorry. It definitely makes them 8 games better at least, moving forward. So, I mean, I can see them possibly make the playoffs,
Well, in this case, because they're talking about starting the season, I think last I heard was in May, they're going to have a shortened season. So that 8 games suddenly makes a heck of a lot of bigger difference there when you have a shortened season like this. So I think there's a lot to be excited about in Met Nation right now. Pitcher's ballpark, granted, but I still think Lindor can be able to do well if he can overcome the jitters. As basically you go to a new team, he's in a contract year. There's a lot of added pressure that usually comes with something like that. But I like what that team has done. I'm impressed with that team. And Obi, as a Mets fan, scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you with this?
I'm a solid 8. I think there's as a Met fan living down in the Philly area, I keep my eye on, and come August, I decide if I'm going to really start watching the games. And I'm feeling this year that I'm definitely going to be watching in August. I'm confident of that at this point.
Now, do you get a lot of flack for being a Mets fan down there?
No, I do not. So it's probably more than 4 right now. But if you recall, maybe you'll know the season, the Mets had the year the Mets just choked to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They were up they had a magic number of 6 with 20 games.
They were up to 7 games left. There was up by 7 games or something, yeah.
Going into that season, the Phillies and the Mets had combined for winning seasons the same season only 4 times. So that was season number 5, and the next season was season number 6. And I don't think it's happened again since. So the rivalry is non-existent. Philly fans are more like Met fans, where they don't like the Yankees, but they also don't like the Red Sox. They carry over that Celtic rivalry to the Red Sox. Those are the teams they don't like. Mets are like 3rd least favorites. There's nothing. It's
You're just there.
Yeah, the Braves. It's all about the Braves.
Well, that's true.
The Braves,
Yeah. I think Philly's becoming more of a rival for the Washington Nationals, especially with the Bryce Harper swap and everything. But when I heard of this trade, this was my knee-jerk reaction as to Mets news when I see that they get Lindor. And the best part of the deal for me, in my opinion, for them was Carrasco, because they get him under contract for a couple of years, and he's a solid pitcher to add to their rotation. And I see what they get, and all I'm thinking is they sold the farm. I'm so Will Pond out from bad trades of the Robbie Cano deal and stuff. And I'm they're probably traded JD Davis, Nimmo, and Pete Alonso and Noah Syndergaard. And then I see that what they gave up, and I'm oh my God, Steve Cohen might be the devil. How did he work his sorcery? And they basically gave up 2 shortstop prospects, a pitcher and an outfielder for Carrasco. I was this is what a trade should look like. I think for them, the big thing is going to be signing Lindor long-term. He's only 28, so giving him that 4 or 5 year max deal isn't bad. It also gives them time to rebuild their farm system and find some more prospects at shortstop for the future when they're done with Lindor. And I think there's an MO. You're starting to see the Steve Cohen MO in free agency. I didn't realize this when we were on Spanglish Sports World with Alejandro, when we were talking about LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu's 32 years old.
Yes.
That's why they don't want to give him that 5-year deal, because you start getting into the late 30s when you're I don't want to be paying you 20, 30 million and you're not going to produce. If he gets that big contract, you'd want to front load it more so it's not as heavy on the back end. But with McCann's younger than Real Muto. He can do the job for for less money. I don't think they're done yet, because I know all the Met fans now are George, we got to get Springer. We got to get Springer. Springer's in the same boat as LeMahieu. He's in his 30s already. The guy I want to see the Mets sign for center field, Delino DeShields, in his late 20s, and we talked about this during the World Series. You get him and Lindor, you start getting guys who can hit for average and not just power. You get guys who can manufacture runs for you by getting on base and moving, going from station to station. This is what they need. They'll be a much more well-rounded team, in my opinion, if they go for a guy like Lindor as opposed as a guy like Delino DeShields over Springer. So I love the deal. I thought it was great. And promptly, like right after the Mets make a deal, I think New York sports are just so jaded from bad trades. The next thing that came up was the Jets trading for Deshaun Watson and selling the farm. And I'm like, no, like we have an example of what a good trade looks like finally. Like, don't go back down the rabbit hole. Like follow Cohen's lead. Like he knows what he's doing.
Well, it's still too early to say. Lord knows what could happen. I mean, I'm sorry, you have Mets karma you have to deal with. Where if something can go wrong, it will, and usually at the worst possible moment. So it'll remain to be seen. But for right now, you've got to, like I said, you've got a ton to be excited by with that team. But again, we are looking at 4 months or so at this point. I'm hearing, like I said, I'm hearing about May is when the season's supposed to start. But Met Nation's got a lot to be excited about. Yankee Nation, apparently LeMahieu is annoyed with the Yankees for taking so long. Yankees are holding steadfast, like you said. They've got a lot of people that are already going into age 37 with their contract. A lot of money there too. You got Stanton, you got Cole. Those guys are going to be mid to late 30s. I think they both contracts end at the age of 37 also, which is, again, I think 8 years down the line. So you have a lot of money that's going to be in that mid to late 30 era, dozens of millions of dollars locked up in just a couple of players who frankly will be on the back end of their career. So what surprises me a little bit is the fact that it's not 4 years with an option fifth. I was kind of expecting that, still expecting that, but I'm a little surprised it hasn't come together yet. Some of the other trades that are out, some of the other deals that are out there, the Bauer deal, Springer, like you mentioned, free agency is slower moving than it used to be. You saw what happened with Harper. You saw what happened with Machado. There's a lot of guys out there that don't sign as quickly as they would have, say, 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. That's just the nature of the beast. LeMahieu, though, I would have figured they would have locked him up ASAP. Because, again, he is one of the few real pure hitters that are on that lineup. It is so heavily home run based that they need somebody who can do that. Problem is also he's right-handed. Again, we talked about this, I think, on Eduardo's show. There's such a right-handed heavy lineup that it reminds me a little bit of the 2004 Yankee team. All of their starting pitchers, every single one of their starting pitchers is right-handed. And that's the same sort of issue there, where you're too strong in one area and it hurts you in the long run down the road. But it'll remain to be seen. I still think LeMahieu goes to the Yankees. I don't think it'll be a deal that he's going to want to necessarily take. I don't think he's going to take anything from anybody else. I think he's not going to Toronto. Sorry, Eduardo. Sorry, Eduardo. Sorry, Joe, who's ever handling this one right now. I don't see him going there. I see him staying with the Yankees. I just do. But I don't think it's going to be an acrimonious contract.
I think, like I said, one of the things, if you look at the list of free agents right now, go online and look it up, a lot of the guys are guys in their late 30s who just came off of monster contracts and didn't really produce that much in the last 2 or 3 years. So you have teams looking at it going, I don't want to spend that money. Like, I'll give you money for 2, maybe 3 years, but I'm not doing the 4 or 5 year deal because I need to be able to hit the refresh button and bring in younger talent. Like, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. But now buyouts are becoming more and more common as well. Where they'll just buy you out of that last year of the deal and let you go. But even then, you're still eating that money, even if you free up a spot for somebody else who's probably better acclimated. It will be a problem with Lindor eventually too. If he gets say you talked about a 5-year deal, I think he's going to want to have 7, maybe even 8. I think that's
I wouldn't mind a 7 or take him to leave 35. But you really don't that's the cutoff. You really don't want to start going into the late 30s with some of these, especially unless he a shortstop. Not everybody's Jeter. You got to move him over to second base at some point or third base if he starts to lose a step. But he's at that age where you can make a big investment in him for a long-term deal of, I would ideally say 4 or 5. Like I said, if he's looking for more, maybe, as long as you front load it and you kind of you're able to free up cap space or salary space down the stretch.
Yeah, there's 2 things about that. It's also if you're paying him X a year in 10 years, what that salary is going to look like compared to other major leaguers versus what it looks like today. All right, because we know the top playing guy keeps going up every year. Year 8, 9, and 10, it might be a lot, but it might not be close to market value for what his talent was, let alone what it is.
And yeah, but it'll remain to be seen on that. So awesome. So we are about a little more than halfway through. Find us always on Twitter at BB Sports Den and also on Facebook at BarnBurner Sports Den. Before we get into trivia, I need to get something out of my system right here. I've already prepped you guys on this, so this is coming. But the hockey season starts for the New Jersey Devils in 2 days. which stats are just put up a little tiny sad face up there.
I learned how to use the reaction emojis.
That's
on
awesome.
Zoom.
I love it. Yeah. He's actually no, it's not a sad face. It's a laughing face. I saw the tears and I just figured, he's a Devils fan. It makes sense. I understand that our team is the punching bag of the NHL. It's been that way for a lot of years. It kind of even was that when they made the playoffs 21 out of, I believe, 22 years in a row. I get it. I understand the fact that Corey Crawford, who they signed to be the backup goaltender and the mentor goaltender, retired. He retired very unexpectedly. A lot of people are believing that it has to do with the injuries and the concussions that he had. But for whatever reason, if you're a Devils fan, you get used to putting your hopes on players that just randomly retire. It's been now almost 8 years since Ilya Kovalchuk just dropped, dropped the stick. It was like, you know what? Later, guys, I'm going to Russia, and just out of nowhere in the middle of free agency. This reminds a lot of Devil Nation of this. Again, it's a different circumstance. It's not, Kovalchuk dropping and saying I'm going to play, in Russia because I want to go home. But it's still a bit of a bad blow. Because they had a lot of hope on this guy to be able to play, 1/3 of the games roughly, be a mentor for Mackenzie Blackwood, train, teach, coach, and God willing, knock on wood, get the team back into the playoffs this year. And then just like that, he's gone. And again, you got to try and find some kind of a veteran goaltender to sign to replace him.
Well, I heard that when he arrived, he told them, he's like, I don't know how long I'm staying. He goes, I might not be playing. Yeah. He goes, I might be out the door, injuries and everything else. I thought this story was I thought it kind of got more headwind than it needed to because it was a slow sports day for some reason. And it's probably a bigger story for Chicago Blackhawk fans. Like, he won cups with them and everything. He's a guy that's better known for being a Blackhawk than anything else. Like I said, he was going to be the backup. I think they'll be fine. They'll be able to find a replacement with them. They can bring in unlimited goaltenders for training camp. True. So I think they'll be fine. The one thing they've never had is a shortage of good goaltending in their farm system. So I understand the concern. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Ilya Kovalchuk retiring was like probably one of the greatest days of my sports life because I hated that man.
Eventually, I was okay with it, but I hated the timing. I
said when he signed that ridiculous contract, they're like, oh, he wants to win a cup. I'm like, no, he doesn't. If he wanted to win a cup, he wouldn't have signed a contract that ridiculous. They wouldn't have had to attempt to circumvent the cap because people forgot that they got in trouble. Lou Lamoriello got bagged by the league for trying to circumvent the cap.
They forfeited draft picks for that contract, too.
Yeah, I hated him. And when he left, I remember being on set that day and I rapped. My phone was literally blowing up and I'm like, what is going on? And my cousin's like, dude, Kovalchuk just retired. He's like, everyone on, and literally my Facebook was like, Rob Stats is a messiah. Like, he's a shaman. He predicted this. Like, this guy was a terrible play. I was like, yep, told you so.
Yeah. But it was
the Devils over the last
go ahead.
couple of years. I mean, we're the franchise that literally has caused the league to change rules.
Yeah.
Like the Brodeur box behind the net because our goalie was too good at handling the
trapezoid.
Puck. We can't do the neutral zone trap because we dominated for 10 years with it. It's like, oh, okay, like let's just change rules because literally like the Devils are the evil ones and they're cheating, they're beating everybody. But yeah, he had a Corey Crawford great career. God bless him, wish him all the best going forward. But I think the Devils will be fine without him.
I hope so. But it was one of those things that you find out about that this week and you're just like, oh my God, why not? It's always something else. But again, hockey season starts in 2 days. I guess I probably should mention this as well. Though you guys personally, I think, know this, but MSG Networks contacted me to do more commercials for the team this year. So it'll be probably playing in the Jumbotron. It'll be playing on MSG Networks. So you're going to see my dumb, stupid mug on, promoting the Devils and everything they got. I think I know how they're doing the commercial. So it's going to be different from the one they did like 3 years ago, where it was just me. Because of the fact that, thank you, Obi, appreciate the emoji on that one. I think because of the fact that they had to do all this stuff from self-tapes, they're going to be probably using all of us, like 4 or 5 of us in every commercial. That's the way I feel that they're going to be running with this. But you will literally at one point, possibly depending, hear me doing what Andres Cantor was the Spanish play-by-play guy. Go! Yeah. I ran with that for 35 seconds straight. They might use that or something like it. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. But I don't know. But it's funny because I talked about how Corey Crawford's going to be a big part of the team. The fact that PK Subban and Lindsey Vonn are going to be like the power couple for the team. They split up. It's like anything I talked about.
Jinx, Scott.
Dude,
it's
I really
all your
am.
fault.
Dude, we've established this on the fantasy league. Now, basically, I'm a jinx for the team. It's like, look at all this kind of stuff. I mentioned, Jack Hughes and Nico H.E.R. So they're probably going to go down game 1 with an injury, season ending. But yeah, no, I'm totally a jinx for that team. Loyal though. So, all right. So we've got about 18-ish minutes left. I talked about this earlier. It's been about a month and a half, probably about closer to 2 months since I last did this. And since Mr. Jared Robeson has been good enough to come back, and I appreciate that. I know work has been killing you lately.
Yeah. I know.
I figured this was by far one of the best times to do a little trivia, bring that back. So basically we got 4 categories here. We got MLB, NFL, NBA, and what I call what's in a name. Now,
what's in a what?
What's in a name? So it'll make sense when the time comes in this case. Here.
Okay.
Basically, I've got 4 questions on each one of them. Easy, medium, hard, and what I call oh hell no. They are not in any specific order, so 1 is not going to be easy, and 4 may not necessarily be oh hell no. But way I figure this, I don't know how I necessarily want to do this. If you don't get the answer right, I'll just let you guys probably just jump in and go from there. But Jared, do you want to start this off since you're back, man?
Let's do what's in the name.
All right. Pick a number from 1 to 4.
Let's go with 4.
All right. This actually falls into the easy category. So Terrell Owens is a 6-time Pro Bowler and on the 49ers Hall of Fame team. His middle name shares the same name as a year 2000 animated film about finding the lost city of gold, which included a song by Elton John. What is his middle name?
Dorado?
Yeah. El Dorado. It's El Dorado.
I did not know his middle name was El Dorado. But I knew that. I was like, I know the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh no, yeah.
I was one of the 18 people that actually saw that movie in theaters. It was not great. That was not one of Elton John's best songs. So, all right. Congratulations, Jared. Takes it off, gets things going the easy way. All right. Rob, how about you, man? What do you want to do?
What were the categories again?
We have MLB, NFL, NBA, and what's in a name?
I'll do NFL first.
Yeah, right. Pick a number from 1 to 4.
2.
Number 2. Okay, this is a medium category. Brett Favre completed over 5,000 passes in his career. Who caught his first completion?
It was someone on the Atlanta Falcons. I know that.
His first completion, not an interception.
Oh, it wasn't the Falcons because I thought he.
Actually, it wasn't somebody on the Falcons. Yes. Just to clarify, yeah.
It was someone on the Falcons. Yeah, because he played. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Andre Rison.
Obi, I think you know.
No, I
you don't. Okay.
Rison.
What's that, Jared?
I'm going with Rison as well.
Jared.
Your mic,
man.
Jamal Anderson?
Nope. Himself.
Himself? Wow.
It bounced off a lineman. He caught it, and it was a 4-yard loss.
I do remember that. I've definitely seen that before, and I just couldn't recall if it was that.
But
I know Brad Johnson's was he the first or the only quarterback to ever complete a touchdown pass to himself
doing the same thing?
Yeah, when he was with the Vikings, it got deflected and he caught it. I think someone else did it after him. I'm not sure. But
Mariota.
Was it Mariota?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, all right, Obi, how about you, sir?
I'm going to stick with what's in the name.
All right. So we have 1, 2, or 3.
3.
Yep. I'm sorry. 1, 2, or 4. Okay, you said 3. So, okay. So this one I have to say is probably my favorite one of the bunch. And it's considered easy. Now, the reason, by the way, this is my favorite one is because I've actually been holding on to this little factoid for about 27 years now and really never talked about it. In the 4 major sports, there are, in fact, only 8 teams who have a nickname that does not end in the letter S. Name 5.
Sox and Sox.
2. And by the way, that's as of this season, not last season or this year or next year.
So it's Sox and Sox. I used to know the 4 of them. 4 of them in baseball, but now that's escaping me. We're going to... 4 major sports you gave me?
4 major sports. Yeah, basketball, baseball, hockey, and football.
Sox. Give me something else to work on here.
Basically, okay, there's 4 in basketball. I'm sorry. There's four in basketball. There's 1 in the NFL as of this season.
Sox, and Heat. Miami Heat.
That's 3.
1 in football as of this season.
Yes.
Yes, we don't say that on the show, so we're going to pass on that one.
I will count it, though. I will count it.
Count it.
Because Washington is their team name.
Sox, Heat. No, Rays. I have an S.
Nope. Yeah, it's a weird.
Has an S.
I feel like Jared knows, like, because the NBA ones are pretty easy.
That's his wheelhouse.
There were 3 in the NBA that were pretty easy.
There's 4 in the NBA. He got 1 of them.
It's crazy. I don't even know it. I'm thinking right now, like, what could it be? You know, I'm going through every team in my mind. I'm like, what could it be?
Yeah, I'm open for help, guys.
All right.
I got we said Sox, Heat, the Washington football team, Tampa Bay Lightning, Utah Jazz, Oklahoma City Thunder. I couldn't remember the other NBA team. I ran out, but the NBA ones were the ones I got quick. I was like, I know this one. Oh, Minnesota Wild from the NHL.
Minnesota and Orlando Magic.
That's the other one, the Magic. So, you know what it was? The Heat threw me off because I left the state of Florida after I said Heat. I started going to all the other divisions and stuff. I'm like, who is it?
Awesome. So, all right. I figure, like I said, I've known about this weird little factoid since about 1994.
I thought you were going to go down the road of which ones aren't named after animals, because a lot of those are the same. It's a lot of the same team names too that are.
I didn't think
ones
about
that don't have S's aren't named after animals.
I hadn't thought of that. Okay, Jared, back to you, sir.
Let's go NBA.
All right, NBA. I think we have all 4 of them wide open.
Let's just go with 4 then.
All right, 4 is a hard one, but this 2-time NBA champion became the youngest ever when he debuted with the Lakers in 2005 at 18 years. And
Andrew Bynum.
There you go. Right.
I already know the answer. I played against him in high school. My school played against him in high school. Sorry.
Really? I almost actually dropped in vicinity there finding that out.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because actually he's from Jersey. So
yeah.
Nice. All right. Stats, how about you?
Let's do what's in a name for 1.
All right. What's in a name for 1? And the answer is
category.
Tiger Woods is known the world over. What's his first name?
Eldrin, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Why not?
Close enough.
Yeah, that's what I figure. So, all right, Obi, how about you?
Can I get one as easy as that Tiger Woods question? I'll finish off what's in the name.
All right, so we got 1 left. So, Tony Romo had a solid career with the Cowboys. His middle name is also the first name of a former reliever who won 4 World Series with the Yankees from 96 to 2000 and won with the Red Sox in 2004.
Oh,
I think I do know this.
I know who the player is. That's the worst part. I'm thinking of him and not Tony Romo's middle name.
Well, see, if you know the player's name, you get Romo's middle name.
Yeah, no, I know. I can't think of the player's name, but I remember who went and then won with the. I just remember that, but not a name.
Very Ronald Torreyes in his physique.
Bobby.
Rob, you seem like you knew it.
I want to say Jeff Stanton.
No,
it's not Jeffrey. Okay.
Nope. Ramiro Mendoza or Ramiro.
Oh,
yes.
His name is Tony Ramiro Romo.
He's Antonio Ramiro Romo.
Is he Spanish?
Yeah, I guess Italian or something. I don't know. Ask Sheldon about that.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's actually half Mexican. Too.
Okay.
He's a Mexican and Italian.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So that makes things the Antonio. Okay. Very cool. All right, Jared. How about back to you, sir?
What's the categories again?
NFL, NBA, MLB, and we had what's in a name. We knocked that one out.
Let's go MLB then.
All right, MLB in 2. Okay. This is a hell no, by the way. Chan Ho Park made history by being the first Korean player in major leagues. Across his 17 seasons, he played for 7 teams, including, in fact, 1 game for the Mets and 27 for the Yankees. But what year did he debut? This one surprised me. I had no idea.
2004.
How about you guys?
9.
What year? How long was his career?
17 seasons. I was on Baseball Reference yesterday looking this
up. I'll say like 98.
You're the closest one. 94.
Was that real? Wow.
He started in 94. He played a couple of games then, just basically worked his way up until 96. His first game was in 1994. He finished a game where the Dodgers were actually no hit by the Braves. So,
yeah, I would always get him. I was like him in Nomo. I was like, I couldn't remember who started first.
But I had no idea he was that far back. But he pitched one game with the Mets, one single game. All right, stats. How about you?
Let's do NFL for one.
Okay. This is a hell no category.
Yes.
Only one player in NFL history ever cracked the 7-foot tall mark, playing one season in 1967. Who is he?
My initial instinct would be Ed Too Tall Jones. But
no, he was 6'9".
Yeah, I would know it wasn't him. I have no idea. This is a hell no question. I'm not ashamed to have not known the answer.
Either you guys?
I said Bill Russell. Nobody remembers Bill Russell crossing over to play for the Patriots.
Isn't his last name like Slight?
Yes. Richard Slight.
Nice.
Wow. Very
Obi
good.
with the steal.
Yeah,
I was like, hell no. Obi said Dikembe. No. Hell no.
I was
I
tempted
don't know how tall he is. I just know the tallest guy's name was Slight. Like,
the irony of it.
Yeah.
All right, Obi, how about you? We got about 8 minutes left.
Let's try another NFL question. I'm on fire.
All right. So we have NFL. We have 2 left, 3 or 4.
Go with 3.
All right. Prior to fighting as Apollo Creed, playing as a one-handed golfer in Happy Gilmore, or assisting a masked bounty hunter protecting a force-welding Grogu, Carl Weathers once played in the NFL. Don't have to give me the year.
But I was hoping you were going to ask me who it was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, that would have been way too easy on that one. But what team did he play for?
The Cardinals?
The Raiders. 1970 and 71, he played for the Oakland Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Sorry, we're at 6 minutes left, so I got to pick it up the pace just a tick. So Jared, back to you, sir.
NFL, what numbers we have?
Only one left.
Okay.
This one will, if you don't get this would surprise me. So, Madden curse notwithstanding, players have been on the cover of Madden games starting in 2001. This former 10,000-yard rusher played most of his career with the Oilers/Titans before ending his career with Dallas.
Eddie George.
There you go. Yeah, that was the easy one. I would have been very surprised if you didn't get that one. So, all right, sir. So what do we have left? We have 3 MLB and 3 NBA.
I'll do NBA.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Okay. Shaquille O'Neal has a long storied career selling car insurance, foot cream, Taco Bell, and even once a sleep apnea mask. However, at one point, he played basketball as well. How many 3-pointers did he hit in his career?
1.
Yes.
Was what I knew.
He hit 1. He went
I remember. I don't know why. I was like, it was the only time. I was like, he hit 1. I know that. I think he didn't hit any more than that.
Yeah. No, he hit 1 in his career on 95-96 season. Otherwise, he went 1 for 22. All right. Obi?
Let's stay in the NBA.
All right. 1 or 2?
1.
Okay. This one would be the easier of the 2, I think. But one player in NBA history led the league in scoring despite being a rookie. Who is the Hall of Famer with that stat?
AI?
You guys?
LeBron? No, he said Hall of Famer, so it can't be
Hall of
LeBron.
Famer, yeah.
He's not in the Hall yet.
Will Chamberlain?
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Of course. Who else would it be?
Yeah, I was like, my initial instinct was LeBron. I'm like, wait, he's not in the Hall yet. Like,
I was debating if I should make it easier by saying also claimed to have bedded over 10,000 women, but I decided
I would have got that right off the bat.
Everybody would have. All right.
It was either him or Jerry West. One of those two, I was guessing.
Oh, that's a fair one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got 1 NBA left, and I think 3 major leagues. Yes.
Let me just finish off the NBA then. That's
Fair.
the case.
Now, this is a hell no, which surprised me a little bit because it's interesting, this one. This woman was the first female referee in the NBA and in U.S. sports history when she reffed the Grizzlies Maverick game on Halloween 1997. Do you know her name?
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. The answer is hell no.
Yeah. Her name is Violet Palmer, and she did a fair number of years, but I had no idea that name. And it surprised me a little bit that actually isn't a little more mainstream, but that's not a conversation for now or later. So, all right. Stats, how about you? As we got 4 minutes left. We got
MLB,
3. Yeah.
3.
3. Okay. This former Yankee never won a World Series and actually credited wearing a gold lame thong as the reason why he broke out of a 2008 slump. Who is he? And I think Obi already knows.
Jason Giambi?
Yes, it is. Yeah, Ob's. Yeah. He actually my father got me this trivia book for Christmas, and literally the first page I opened to on this was gold lame thong, Jason Giambi. I'm like, all right, I'm reading this thing. Johnny Damon apparently started to do it as well.
Yeah, it wasn't the rumor that it got passed around by a couple of guys. Like they were in a slump. Like there was a rumor that Jeter had it on at one point too, man. I was like, I hope you guys are washing it beforehand. Like,
I would hope. But it was one of those things that, you're so focused on what you're wearing down below that you don't think about the bat. And it kind of makes sense in a weird way. It throws your head off. So, Obi, we have number 4 and number 1 left in major leagues.
Let's go with number 1.
All right. The San Francisco Giants began their career in New York, but not as the Giants, but rather as what team? Hint, New York City is sometimes still called this.
Gotham's?
Yes. It is. They were, in fact, the New York Gothams for about 3 years.
All right.
So, all right. And the last one for Mr. Jared Robison. And this, wow. Okay. This Hall of Famer with the 1996 Yankees also played for Boston and Tampa, all in the same division. Who is he? And you're on mute.
No, I'm thinking.
Okay.
You said Hall of Fame? Well, Yankee Hall of Famer or just MLB Hall of Famer?
Oh, MLB Hall of Famer.
Tim Raines?
Yeah, I think, Rob, both of you guys. Yeah.
Wade Boggs.
I'm going to leave that one empty on that one because both of you guys had that. So, all right. So, counting this up, let's see. 1 Rob, 1 Obi, 2 Obi, 1 Jared, 2 Jared, 3 Jared.
I had Jared with 4.
Oh, we were keeping score?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jared takes it by 1.
Nice.
Jared's back with a vengeance. It's like,
finally.
2-2.
I was like 0 for 3 before, 0 for 2.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't know what the question he got right was for the Bynum answer. Like, what was the question when he answered Bynum before
he answered it so quickly? It was like, he's like, Andrew Bynum. Like, okay.
Andrew Bynum is the youngest player in NBA history. When he started with the Lakers in 2005 at 18 years and only 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually started in the NBA about the same age you were, when you graduated high school.
And the reason I knew that, like I said, my school played against him in high school, so I already knew that off the bat.
Wow.
I was still in high school when it happened. So.
And he had to do the year in college too, right?
No,
he didn't go to college.
He was right before that. He was like one of the last guys to get in under that.
So, yeah,
he's the youngest overall though. I thought Jermaine O'Neal was.
No, when I was looking up, no, he 18 years 6 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. A lot of times when I look stuff like this up, I just try and find like useless trivia. I start pulling from really weird sources, and I'm like, all right, that one. So that's pretty much going to do it. Any last thoughts in like 30 seconds or less for each of you guys?
I think we're going to have a lot to talk about next week about a particular basketball player that we talked about a while ago who probably suffers from mental illness. And I think it's time for the NBA and the team, the Brooklyn Nets, to have an intervention because this person needs help. Like the signs and symptoms of mental illness and bipolar disorder are there. And if you're saying they're not, it's because you're ignoring them. So get this guy help because he's a talented individual, could do a lot of things on the basketball court, do a lot of things for the community and the league. Get him help, get him fixed because there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to lead off with that next week. I think you're dead right on that. So, all right. It's pretty much going to have to do it. I got to wrap this up. I'm sorry. I will say this real quick. Eagle Fang Karate is my new shirt now. Had to throw that in there real quick, for Cobra Kai fans. Woo!
Nice.
So this show can be heard on 122 different platforms on the BarnBurner Radio Network, US, Canada, Europe, probably Antarctica. You can find it in there too. So as for me, my name is Scott Schertzen. Thank you, Mr. Jared Robeson. I appreciate you coming back, man. I missed you royally. Missed you royally. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Obi, because it's my first time.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, thank you. Glad you came back, man. Obi Schottenfeld, congratulations. Thank you as always. Rocking the hat, rocking everything else. Appreciate it. And Mr. Stats, you and I have been going back, together for God knows how many years in the film industry. Thank you. And if you want to do the show tonight, say the word. I'm okay with that completely. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks as always for tuning in. And you know what? May the worst of your 2021 be better than your worst of your 2000. No.
May the worst of your 2001 be better than your best of 2020.
Thank you. There we go. Yes.
I got you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have my back on that. Have a good